Hey guys, so I don't make patch videos all the time, you may have noticed, but I make them usually when there's something controversial about or I like it. So I actually like this one for the most part. So a lot of people don't like it for some reason. I'm not sure why. Probably because of the fact that Twisted Tree Line was removed. So that's just like backlash. But I don't think it should take away from the patch because a lot of people just seem to be reacting to that mostly. So yeah, we're just gonna go into this, and I'm not even sure how long this video is gonna be. Uh, hopefully not too long. um, let me drink some water fast. I don't care about skin. That's not balanced. So the big thing they're doing is they're sort of making the dragons less RNG, really. So we're just gonna read this first. So first off, after the second elemental dragon dies and the third one's announced, the transformation trigger will occur. So it essentially means, as far as I know, is the first three dragons are random, as in like if you kill the infernal one, it's out of the pool. So next ones will be one of the three. Kill the next one, say it's ocean. The last one is either going to be air or earth. And then after the air one dies, well, it says after, but I did read this, guys. That's what I mean. So after the air one dies, the rest of the game is just gonna be air dragons. So yep, same as the rift element, same as the element of the third dragon. I only call them drakes. Once the map transforms, all future elemental dragon spawns will be the element only. Pretty much what I just said, because they worded it a bit weird. Always occur in the four jungle quadrants. The terrain changes, surround around the buff camps as well as the dragon pit. So it's hard to tell. Like these terrain changes, it's really hard to tell how it'll pan out, just because it depends where the focus of the game is, really, and like even what champions are strong. Um, like my biggest concern really isn't even the Infernal Dragons, because they took power away from them and put it into like the end game bit, so the game probably snowballs maybe a bit less even. Um, so I mean, I'm sure you've seen the Infernal Dragon. Well, I'm gonna show a picture, guys. But we're just gonna, you probably seen the pictures, okay? Like things open up, everyone's seen it. Doesn't matter. It's just showing the different, like, so pretty much this one's just a bit more wide open, the pit, and then there's some. I'm not sure. I'm guessing it's for the other side. I'm not sure if, let's say, blue side, which is the bot side, gets the Infernal Dragon buff. The soul. I'm not sure if it's only their, like, the enemy team side who which terrain gets converted, or their own, or everything. Probably everything, I would assume. I don't even know. Um, Earth is they just put a giant rock, and there's a rock there. I mean, like these aren't that important. The big ones is the ocean rift, which gives a ton of bushes, and I'll actually show a picture of this one. Shows a ton of bushes. So new ones is bottom, a bit over here, over here. So this is a big assassin type of bush, and also these puddles. They're a bit hard to see. Beside, like, this is a puddle, this is a puddle, this is a puddle. I'm not sure if like these dark spots are puddles or not. They might not be, but water walking is very good, and with these puddles, it's hard to. I'm just not sure if this counts as a puddle or not, or if this is the only puddle. So um, and they just pretty much say that the water passives actually have an effect on that. And the air one's interesting because it shows, like, these four, like, if you go on this, you get a massive speed boost. And I just don't know if it's like this entire area, or if it's only like this part, or like, I don't know. it's more like one of those things where you gotta see if how it pans out. I didn't like play in the PB or anything. The big change that they also even say, we don't expect lane to fundamentally change as a result, but like the change is actually quite substantial. I would even say. I mean, I'm not a laner, but I mean I know how to lane just because I've observed how to lane and stuff. And I'm just gonna get these two images ready. Yeah, I screwed up, guys. So yeah, I mean, the big thing to take from this is usually this part would be like the gap essentially, and like from here to like here. I wish I had my pen thing. You know, you just follow my mouse. I would have used my pen thing. But pretty much from like here to here would be the bush, and then from here to here would be the bush, pretty much. And so this is like it's actually makes bot lane quite a bit more dangerous, just because there's more bushes you have to actually be cautious about. So like even with this, the guy can go in this bush and doesn't even have to go into like this bush at all. You can just like sneak over here and Zac slingshot or something like that. And top lanes also has this. This I don't know. This is very interesting. I mean, you gotta see how it pans out. I mean, there's Rengar buffs really, and that's pretty much it. I'm not. It's hard to say. It's hard to gauge how much they'll do. It's depending on the players really. And this other change is hard to. I mean, I guess it means going and like waiting for Dragon or Baron to get low. Like, it's the same thing with this side. Like, just the bush guys, more ringer jumping. Um, Again, it's hard to tell how much it'll even matter because I mean, if you're gonna go gank someone over here, I mean, they usually don't see you here anyway. So this bush is really like a I don't know, like you're not certain where he is over here, and you just want to wait in this bush and see if he goes down up here or not. Pretty much. And so the new thing in this patch is Dragon Souls, and the first team to slay 4 elemental dragons gains a Dragon Soul, matching the elemental rift. Elder Dragon begins spawning after one team gains a Dragon Soul, meaning only one team can have it. So pretty much what that means is, once the one team has the Dragon Soul, which is these effects that we'll get into, the other team can't get them anymore because then only the Elder Dragon spawn. So the effects that's like a late game strategy, and they're actually very powerful. But they're very powerful because it probably like at that point, it would probably be like 25, 30 minutes in the game. The game sort of wants to conclude, or like you know, it rewards that team for getting all those dragons. Because if both teams get like 2 dragons each, they still have to kill their own set of dragons. It's not just like, oh, 3 dragons died. That means only one's gonna spawn or something. Or like, man. Again, I only read this once, guys. Give me a little bit. After the second, elements of like this isn't the big thing that I'm like stoked about or anything or like excited about. By the way, this is sort of the extra stuff. The exciting thing is the item changes and stuff, and the jungle changes. You know, we're not really gonna like because I'm a bit tired. It's 8 o'clock, so it's close to my bedtime. So we're just gonna to stop talking about. It's not that important. um, like elemental Drake buffs, Dragon Souls, or permanent persistent that. Yeah, yeah. So again, uh, after because the big thing I'm wondering is the first team to slay 4 elemental dragons. I'm not sure if it means 4 of the same. It probably just means 4 in general. So, uh, for instance, I think if a team kills 3 dragons, the 4th dragon will be the dragon soul, I believe, or it might be like a that dragon and then a fifth dragon. I'm not sure honestly. Like it's one of the things where like I talked about this with Ali a lot, and I'm just sort of like blanking out right now, just because this isn't the big thing I'm focusing on. My mind, my mind is not really attached to this. Like this is fine. Like it's not like blatant power creep. It's more like they lowered the power of the dragon, but they made it easier to get to justify the time spent and resources. So it's actually fine. And we're just gonna go into the effects after you get this dragon soul that this one team can get, and then the other team can't get it anymore. Uh, the they're all pretty strong, honestly. So the fire dragon is every 3 seconds, your next damaging attack or ability on an enemy unit triggers a small explosion, dealing 80 damage and it scales with 80 and AP and bonus HP to the target and nearby enemies. Depends how small that explosion is, and the fact that is that it doesn't have like a cooldown like, oh, you have to be out of combat. So that's like constant damage. So that one's actually pretty strong, especially if you have some kind of poke thing going on. Not sure which champion would be able to really abuse it. I mean, I think of like Azir off the top of my head before, but it's just I don't know. Mm, I mean, you could. I'm just trying to think of a champion that can constantly abuse that. Karthus is dying. I don't know. The Mountain Dragon one's pretty busted though. After not taking damage for 5 seconds, gain a shield for 225 and it scales with AD and AP quite well and bonus HP. That's pretty insane just because some fights tend to have like a fight, then like a bit of a chase, waiting, and then fighting. So this thing, especially on like squishy champions, like assassins even, this is quite powerful because it means that they can probably not die by the time they kill you. It is just very strong for staying healthy in general, like to even poke. Like if you get the Mound Dragon Soul, I don't know how you can even win against a team that has like good disengage and good like poke and whittling down people. It's probably really hard to win. And that's what I think these changes are about. And I think that's fine, especially given that they, again, it takes a while to get there. You can actually interrupt this Dragon Soul and even get it for yourself. The Ocean Dragon Soul, dealing damage to enemies heals you for 180, scales quite generously with 80 and AP and bonus to HP, and restores 90 and scales with max mana over 3 seconds. So it's not right away, it's over 3 seconds. Damage to minions or monsters regenerates with 30% attackness. So you have to be attacking something instead of passively getting it. And these things are actually quite powerful along with, because if you already have ocean dragons, you're getting HP back too. So the amount of healing you would get is actually quite high. Like it depends if the champion has like this one would be very strong on champions that have like shields, just because champions that have shields tend to be weak to like a high taking a huge chunk of HP. So I just feel like the mountain and ocean one, like the ocean one, I was actually sort of downplaying, but it can be bad if, again, you're not able to like. It depends on the team count really, like or even build oriented. So again, we have to see how it plays out. The Cloud Soul passive gain 10% increased movement speed. That is a lot of movement speed, and the Cloud Dragon, I believe, doesn't give movement speed anymore. So this one is like the big one that really you would out maneuver enemy team very easily. I also feel like that's mostly just the extra effect of it, because the big effect, I think that's just tacked on in all honesty. And the big effect is after casting your ultimate, gain additional 30% movement speed. Wait, is it? Oh no. That's the no. This is not the big effect. Never mind. I'm lying because I'm getting confused with like the effect of per dragon and the dragon soul. The ultimate thing again. I mean, honestly, that's still a strong as hell effect, considering because we're going to go into the what the new cloud dragons do. So I mean, honestly, both of these effects, they're strong. So it's just high movement speed. Okay. Again, this is not the big thing I want to talk about. Like, this is sort of extra, and like, if you really want to get to like what I think is what makes this preseason, is when we're gonna get to items and jungle. So this is where they pretty much tone down the dragons for the most part and try and change the power a bit, even with some. So instead of like the first Infernal Dragon being like game over and and snowballing out of control, I and like since let's say the first dragon was Infernal, that means it's out of the game. So I like this change because it doesn't feel like you just lost the game because they got one like the Infernal, which would be really depressing. So now instead of 10, 17, 24% more attack damage, it's oh yeah, and how it does. We're gonna do a full pause. So let's say each team has two dragons. Okay, I believe this how it works. I'm not sure. I believe this how it works. So if each team has two dragons and then one team kills the third dragon, the fourth dragon will be the one with the soul, I believe. And that dragon depends on what dragon they killed. I believe, like I don't know, it's a bit weird. Like again, what, I don't care. I'm making this confusing. Like I don't like it. This is not the big change. Like I'll know if I like just rewrite it over this or just play the game because I like learning things through playing the game. Honestly, like I tend to like have a good gist of things and then just, just go along. So we're gonna go back into what we were talking about with the Infernal Dragon. So instead of having 10, 17, 24% per dragon, it's 5, 10, 15, 20. So to even have the power of one Infernal, you need two Infernals. So I like that because again, it sort of slows down the pace of the game without like instead of being like oh game over. So I like that. And the Mountain Dragon, I like this change too because it was leading to like very cheesy strats. Like sometimes you would get the Mountain Dragon and it would be absolutely worthless if you somehow had a bad comp for pushing towers or killing like Baron. And in other times it'd be absolutely broken because your team has like Kaisa Karthus or something like that. And now it just gives 8, 16, 24, 32% armor and magic resist, which is useful for really anyone, but mostly tanks. And I sort of like that because again, tanks need some form of love just because I mean they've just been not been getting any love, honestly. And anyway, it was skill really both aftershock and stuff. Uh, Ocean Dragon removing. I don't care what to say. So pretty much they're removing the mana regen from it, which sucks sort of, but it's okay when we go into like the other changes they did, because on champions like Kane and Hecarim, who like Hecarim doesn't really have mana issues, but you can't really be super mobile and flash farm and stuff and flash gank because you can't really use his E as sparingly. But if you had one Ocean Dragon, you could literally smash the keyboard with Hecarim. Like the Ocean Dragon was probably Hecarim's favorite dragon, and he doesn't have that anymore, but that's fine. And instead, now it just gives HP regen and a bit more towards the end, less on the first one by quite a lot. Well, not quite a lot, just one. So what else? What was I talking about? Oh, and the big thing about it is that you get it all the time instead of just being out of combat. And this was something I was also talking with Ali about was it's a bit weird because they had this effect. This was how Ocean Dragon originally was with that mana regen, but then they changed it because they said it was a bit weird when you would be like dueling someone and then they would randomly get a huge surge of HP because they're low. So it's interesting they were going back on their design philosophy at the time when they did Ocean Dragons before. Because and I would have liked if they said something about it instead of just acting like it doesn't exist because they're putting back what they said wasn't good in the game, which is a bit weird. Ocean Dragon, I mean Cloud Dragon, instead of just giving bonus movement speed, triple out of combat, it's going to be 10, 20, 30, 40% ultimate CR. Ignoring the CR cap. This thing can be absolutely bonkers on certain champions. Um, Man, like I really wonder if you had 40% or even 20, not to be like super exaggerated, but like even like 20% CDR plus ultimate hunter and like 40% CDR. I really wonder how low your ultimate can go, and that's why like the effect of the 30% movement speed and the 30-second cooldown on it on ultimate, it can actually be quite powerful. It'd be quite powerful even on anyone like Hecarim would love it because he needs his ultimate to do like the do his job. Is what I mean. It's like with his just diving heavy team and fearing everyone. I mean, who else? I mean, man, the one thing that's sad is that Siobhan doesn't really benefit from it, so that's a bit sad. Yeah. But Shyvana is probably gonna be very strong this patch regardless. But yeah. Anyway, what is this? Yeah, the first three dragons are now always three unique elements. All subsequent dragons will be the same as the third dragon. Uh, Spawn rate. Yep, until one team has slain four dragons. So, like, so I'm just trying to think because I'm trying to think if it's based off the team or if you can actually get another like say Infernal was the first dragon for another team and then it was they got water and then what if the other team kills like the air and earth or then would it only just I think then it would just only be like the air dragon I believe it would just be the air dragon the entire game until someone gets four dragons or hits 35 minutes I think that's how it works yeah I don't know I think so and the big change they did was actually lower the HP of the dragon by quite a lot, pretty much 1,000, pretty much. And I don't think that will really impact champions doing dragon like Vi, who has percentage damage, because I think the HP cap will take into effect with even though the HP was lowered. So yeah, they die very. So even though they have lower power, that's why I said earlier where they are actually it's fine because they're a lot safer to kill now. You can easily just sneak it. Like Vi can just queue over the wall and just instantly kill the dragon, pretty much. Like how many times have you ever been doing dragon and had less, had like 900 HP left and you couldn't finish it? Like a lot. So that window is very small now to stop the dragon. You need to ward it or just constantly check it. Um, any water, guys? Wait. So pretty much they're changing Elder Dragon completely. I mean, honestly, Elder Dragon was so rare. Remove the increase the effects of dragons by 50%. It now deals more true damage just because it, you know, before the true they removed another effect. It used to scale with each stacks, but now they just removed this to make it good. Even if a team with like two dragons or one dragon got it. Itchy nose. Okay. Uh, one thing I didn't know was Elder Dragon's Burn no longer reveals enemies. I didn't know that. I mean, I never really see Elder Dragon games, but it's over too fast. New thing is the Elder Dragon's now on Execute. So pretty much the big thing to take from that is Elder Dragon can be quite strong if you because they even mentioned that you will really bring an enemy to exactly 19.9 before they go boom. The thing is though is that certain champions might be very strong with that is such as like a Leon user where you're constantly ticking down or like I don't know red buff or something. I don't know. I don't know. It depends really on how things pan out. Again, Elder Dragon has always been like this. Oh my god, it's overpowered, but like no one ever gets it. They buffed the duration by 30 seconds though, which is nice because Elder Dragon always felt unrewarding to take. For one team kills or first. Yeah, this pretty much just spawns after the 4 horse dragon only. Oh yeah, and they actually nerfed Baron buff. I agree because Baron buff is like overpowered. Lowered from lowered it by 30 seconds, so only lasts 3 minutes. I think that's good. I think Baron buff was way too strong. I think I I think this change is good too because since they nerfed they were changed the Mountain Dragon and make it so that in wait team fight tactics. Since they nerfed the the Earth Dragon, it means that people will actually probably be less inclined to throw the game because is this when if you did get banned, the game was essentially like pretty much over. Like it was really hard to throw. And I'm saying that too because I watched the third game of the SKT G2 game, and I was laughing my ass off the whole game. Like that game is the most hysterical game. I kept on saying to myself like 3 times, "How did SKT lose this game?" Because I know the result, and yeah, no, control wards win games. Apparently, everyone just tries to kill control wards for no reason. So I thought that was really funny. So I just think this is a good change. I don't think they need to be that long. Buff visuals, I'm actually like these a lot more than like when they first changed buffs from, season one buffs icons like season three I believe it was when they changed them. I wasn't like a big fan of the change, but I like this more. I think it's more like I don't know. It just looks better. It's really, and I know that's like, oh, it's an opinion, but I don't have an issue with how they look. I'm not like, oh, why they change it? I actually like how they look, so I don't have an issue with them changing blue, red, getting hit by a red buff. Elder Baron, and that's like everything plus the Infernal Soul, I believe. Rift Herald is turning into like a. I was gonna say something, but I mean, I don't want to like get flagged, guys. It was a big joke. It was a bomber, okay, guys. But initial because it pretty much just blows up. Like once he goes in, he's dead. Initial spawn, going from 8 minutes from 10. I think that's pretty interesting. Respawns every 6 minutes. That's new because it never really respawned before. Despawns at 1930, delayed at 1950 if in combat. Important to know that because sometimes that can actually come in big handy. HP was lowered early, level 6 to 12. I think that means champion levels. I'm not even quite sure. Attack speed was lowered, so it's actually less damage and it's easier to go around it, which has happened plenty of times. 20 seconds to pick up the eye. I like this because I don't think it should be that long to pick up an eye. Like you shouldn't have to invest that much time just to deny an eye if the enemy team failed. I have the hero channel 1 second instead of 4. That is insane. That means like you can pretty much use it whenever, and you shouldn't have to worry about it being canceled, which I like because I remember even taking the Rift Herald as a jungler. It was always weird, and it was always weird even using it because it was like, well, I just summoned the Rift Herald, but like I probably could have killed the tower myself without the Rift Herald. So it was always weird to use, honestly, unless like you took it as like a support or I don't know, or like extremely coordinated. So I actually like that. Herald level. Oh, who cares about that? The HP is lower early and a bit less as the game goes on. And the damage, I think, is just like a more consistent, easier way to read it, honestly. So it's not like a bit random. Headbutt self damage. I didn't even know that was the thing. He used to take 25% of his current HP. Now he takes 66% of his current HP. So pretty much once he goes in, he should immediately die. It means that like it. Sometimes in games I've seen Rough Heralds take away 2, 3 turrets and inhibitor, so that was pretty insane. I've won quite a few games like that actually, where our top lane was actually split pushing and got all those towers. It was a really silly game. Uh, this change is pretty much essentially all this is bot lane is carries too hard, and they address bot lane as well, which I agree on the changes as well. Because bot lane was essentially dealing more damage than solo laners in a lot of cases. Like the bot lane was just so strong, and I guess solo laners weren't strong enough. So I mean they're getting a slight nudge as well. So I mean this makes sense, I guess. So turret plating, more armor, and matters just so that teams can't just like, uh, yeah, because they even say slightly buff turret plating durability to prevent group and push blocks in the early game. So that's a good change because it should slow down the game a bit, and you shouldn't be able to just reliably get the goal in like delay and stuff. It should be like a bit more of an investment. During shield, I like this guy. Like guys, they're buffing sustain. So I mean, it's pretty much So it used to be up to 30 HP over 10 seconds when damaged by enemy champion, but now it's up to 40 health over 8 seconds when damaged by enemy champion. Based on it, but I think it wasn't based on missing HP before, but now it's based on missing HP. 6 expert effective for range users on when triggered by or when triggered by AoE dot or proc effects. I'm not sure if the based on missing HP thing was always a thing, but if it wasn't, it probably means that it's meant to be like someone that has a very bad matchup should take this item than someone who has a strong matchup. At least that's why I think it is. Okay, so the jungle thing. This is where we start getting to good things. So they're finally getting rid of catch-up XP, but keeping it for Baron and Dragon. And catch-up XP, I don't think ever accomplished what it was meant to accomplish. Catch-up XP was made to be like, oh, I can get back in the game. But that really happened because usually when you were losing, you were behind gold, which mattered a lot, especially with early game power spikes. So it usually just didn't matter, and it was actually rewarding the player who was non-stop ganking, which led you to being behind. So the catch-up XP was mostly just benefiting the person being overly aggressive and just to be frank, dumb aggressive because this like I didn't really enjoy this season because of like I didn't really play it because I really didn't like the meta. The meta was essentially just non-stop gank, get flamed if you ever farm, don't farm, and just be a support. I just felt like jungle was a support role this whole season. And when I say that, people are like, "Oh yeah, jungle carries though." Jungle, and it's like, yeah, they might carry, but I don't like how it plays, and I think that's very important because it's like you couldn't be that carry jungle essentially in a lot of these games unless you got like ridiculously fight, which I don't know would happen sometimes, but not in general. I guess I'm missing Jesus Christ. So um. Yeah, pretty much what would happen like is you would kill like say I'm a level or two ahead of some guy, or about to be 2 levels ahead of the guy, and they have like 2 kills. I'm like, oh well, that's fine. I'm ahead. I can actually pressure them. Oh well, they can just do a few camps and then just be at the same level as me, or a slightly behind, like a half a level. And I just feel like catch up XP. Like, was he really behind? And I think that's the biggest issue with catch up XP. And also, it just never really like counter jungling never felt like rewarding. I remember back in the day, like season 2 or 3, if if you ever got a camp, you felt really good. And I wonder if they'll actually keep that because catch up XP again is a big thing that everyone doesn't like. I don't know why my nose is so itchy. Guys, like, jeez. Small camps now respond 30 seconds sooner. Now it's only 2 minutes. And small camp respawn icons. Like, guys, I don't know. Please excuse that. Guys, I have a really itchy nose. I don't know why. Maybe it was a ghost. So, small camp respawn icons. If your team had vision of a small camp when it was killed, you'll see a respawn on the minimap. 15 seconds for respawn. Um, I don't really agree with that. Regardless of you get to see it, I just don't. I just like jungle senses a lot. I don't really. That's the one thing I don't agree with. So. And now it's buff camp respawn icons change from gray to yellow 20 seconds. Now it's 15 seconds to respawn. And all this is with like the whole XP thing is they pretty much nerfed it. Overall, it's an XP nerf, but they moved XP around and gave more XP to Gromp so that you can get level 3 through whatever side. So I wonder if I could start doing like my traditional full clear from doing like blue Gromp wolves. Cause I always liked that. Cause back in the day, even like season 5, 6, I used to always do blue Gromp wolves, Raptors, red ward, red or the ward, yeah. And then Krugs, and that's how I always start every game. And I would be level 4, and I think a half or like a third of my XP to level 5, and I always felt like a very strong strategy to me. And I sort of miss that. And I think with a full clear, and I believe what they even say is like you're level 3 and almost level 4 with the full clear, which sort of sucks. But I mean, things spawn faster now. But I don't know, I think they spawn the same. I'm not sure if it's a bit slower than before. I'm not quite sure. But I know that jungling has always felt weird because I remember when camps spawned, I think it was every 90 seconds. Maybe they spawned every minute. I honestly forget. But camps despite all the nerfs, where like camp spawn, longer. I always just felt like, that's not enough to kill, carry jungle. But then they got to the point where it did that 30-second jump, and it wasn't a 15-second, it was a 30-second jump because there was nothing to do. So now there is actually gonna probably be a decision making again, especially with the removal of catch up XP, where you have to choose between ganking and farming. So even if someone ganks and gets 2 kills, I don't think the game's gonna be over anymore, because they can't just like, if they had to sit in a bush for a long time, they lost a lot of XP and or soaked a lot of XP, and it means that they probably, like, if you farmed up, you could probably be just as strong, if not maybe even stronger, because of the level advantage, and actually beat them. Because if they were camping a lane, you as a jungler should actually be capitalizing on that and going in their jungle and maybe even warding or waiting for them and knowing where they're going to come from. And I mean, that's pretty much all that changes. Lethality items. I don't really play lethality champions like Kha'Zix, Zed, Rengar. I don't really play them that much. So, or even like mid laners and top laners and stuff. You know, um, I like what they did though with swapping power. So pretty much it's the same item, except they increased AD by 5, and but they just got rid of the extra power of removing wards, and I think that's very good, because I felt like this item was like sort of a jack of all trades with how strong it was, and so it was pretty much 5 AD increase in exchange of removing the passive, which is fair, I guess, because vision is everything. Because it always just felt unrewarding. Like they didn't really invest much into denying vision. It was just always like always played itself, and it was one of those items where, because if people follow my Twitter or what call it, my Facebook, I would constantly say, "Oh, this game doesn't really have much, you know, decision making skill." Like, because the game would sort of play itself out. But by diversifying the items like this, by separating them, actually adds that depth. So that's good. Yoma's Ghostblade. Now it's the same exact item, except now all it is Yoma's active now allows the user to ignore unit collision for the duration, and that's a really good thing. It's just for consistency, and so you can actually make use of the huge burst of movement speed. I mean, that's still a strong item. I think there's actually a bigger decision making now, like on even your playstyle, on what you want to accomplish, and even the state of the game. Edge of Night got changed by, the goal was lowered by 100, minus 5 AD, minus 8 lethality, because this is more supposed to be a defensive option, plus 75 HP. They removed the channel, and now it's just it's pretty much a Banshee's Veil, but for AD, and it's an interesting item because it's an item that might be very strong on champions like Vi, or like even champions like Riven. Like, it depends on the matchup, because like for instance, if you're versing like, I don't know, a Camille or something, if you had this against a Camille, as long as you don't get hit by the W, which is pretty hard if the Camille was unable to E or ult, uh, it's pretty much shuts them down, because there's strength in having the automatic spell shield and there's strength in having to activate it. But I think it was more so to make it easier to use, because Edge of Night was always sort of an unappreciated item, because it was very awkward to use, like, using in channel. Like, people are probably not sure, like, oh, can I use an ability during this and stuff. So I think it's just to make people make the item more mainstream. The cost, it's the same cost of Yomu's, and the same so these all three are actually the same cost. So it's pretty much Dustblade is, I want that raw damage. I want them not to escape, because it does the 99% slow after a delay. Which the delay can actually be arguably stronger, because some people have a bit of a reaction time, like a slow one. So this is raw damage. Both these items, like, this has 10 less AD, this has 5 less AD. This one has way less lethality. So this is pure offense. Like, you just want to kill people. You don't think you'll be spotted by words. This is, you want to like go in and roam, like, because it gives you that out of combat movement speed. This can be even good. I mean, Yoma's Ghostblade has always sort of been like, again, there's very few junglers who buy that item. It's more so like a laner item. But Kane Blue Jungle buys it. It could also potentially be good on Vi, just because of the fact that if since you ignore unit collision, but I just think that the Edge of Night item is probably better on Vi, just because having a spell shield is really good, because people have always been wanting an AD type of Banshee's Veil for ages, and people's argument was always, oh, well, isn't it a bit stale to have like two items that are essentially like have the same effect but there's different stats? And I wouldn't say so actually, because depending on the different stats, it could be a completely different item. I believe Banshee's Veils give CDR and stuff. So, I the big thing to take from this as well is I believe Edge Knight has no CDR. Yeah, Edge Knight has no CDR as well. So that's a bit of a con. But depending on, like, on Vi, I don't think it's a big issue because you would have what do you call it, the Red Warrior and Trinity Force for 30% CDR. Last 10 would be your blue buff, okay, and I'm just a really big fan of this line because people will see 8, and I guarantee a lot of people probably see that as like, oh, that's really bad, and I think it only gets bad if you were to like, I don't know, because like. I'm just a big fan of the Edge Knight item. I think this is might be one of the more underappreciated items in the beginning of the preseason, and I just wish I'm trying to think of other champions I can like build this. It's more of a laning item, and I just think again against certain matchup, it can be a very strong item. Sandra Blade's very interesting. It's a weird item because so it's 3,000 gold, 50 AD, 10 lethality, 15% life steal. So I believe Blade of the Ruined King's 40 AD. So it deals a bit less damage than Blade of the Ruined King with like just raw attack damage, like the percentage. And the active is interesting because it's while near one or fewer visible enemy champions gain 8 lethality and 40 to 100% attack speed, levels 1 through 18. The carrying over 3 seconds of other champions to get too close. And so this item has the lifesteal blade. It's pretty much the same AD, but the blade does more because of the whole active thing. It gives lethality, which is a different stat, and as a big, it pretty much instead of having a unique, 8% damage on hit, it's 8 lethality and a bunch of attack speed essentially, only when you're attacking a lone target, and I think if two champions are together and you come into combat, like it depends. So let's say that there's oh, man, like say let me see. Can you see my mouse? Yeah, you can. So say there's a champion right here and a champion right here, and I'm coming from here on the bottom right of my screen. And if I'm approaching to, and let's say like the buff activates now, I guess I would get the buff, and then like once I go over here, it'll start decaying, and it depends how fast it decays. Honestly, I mean, if it's like just it's like a normal amount, as in like not like 10%, 10%, 10%, and all the way goes. I'm guessing it's probably just a normal straight line in terms of decay. It is really interesting because it just it shares a lot of similarities with Blade Runner King, and even in like a team setting, it can potentially be strong. It's a weird item because it gives a lot of attack speed, and you get it gives you the same amount of lethality as the other like Yomu's and Dustblade, but instead of having that damage and slow, well no, this I'm getting more lethality. Don't flame me. It gives like it's 5 or 10 AD less. So it's just interesting because assassin usually blows up in like 1 second. But it's just hard to think of a champion that's like really benefits from this. Like even like a champion like Volibear, like does he really like benefit from like he doesn't really benefit from the life steal. Like Rengar would probably benefit from, but like does he really need the attack speed? He already attacks really fast. Champions like Vi even, it's like I don't know. The big thing is like it does give lethality. Hmm. I, I I think this is one of those items where you sort of need to test it out and just see how strong, because it just shares a lot of similarities with Blade of the King. I would probably test it out and just see how it feels, because again in a team setting too, it doesn't really, because if you're going to a 5v5, like say you ult versus Vi, this whole effect doesn't do anything. In which it looks sort of like underwhelming. It's designed as an assassin. It might even be more of a laning item than jungle. It's it's a weird item. Is all. Even on a champion like Shyvana, like she wants to active and she doesn't really benefit from the lethality as much. So it might be it's a very interesting item and keep your eye on it. And this item is the new item that it's 2,400 gold. It's 500 to 600 gold cheaper than the other items we just talked about. It gives 50 AD, total lethality, lower lethality, 10% CR though, and it just has the ward detection uh passive. So this can be good against I don't know, like fallen bot. It's good if you want to be like map control-ish, and it might be really strong just simply because of the timing of you getting it as well. I just think it's not like any of these items are bad. It's just very situational items, and it depends on the champion, the game state. So that's why I think these item changes are actually very good. So I mean, it's nothing really to say. It's not like it's a bad item. It's a good item. This got rid of extra damage from Seredurk with this whole your next damaging spell no longer deals 40 bonus fixed damage after you kill enemy. This was like a really niche thing and just extra power, honestly. And I didn't really read that, but I understand it. So pretty much now support items have three tiers. Tier one, 400 gold starting item, earn gold with tribute, a spoils award to upgrade, increases stats and three ward charges. Tier two is ward stats and three ward charges, so you get to start warding by your red vision thing. Earn gold with tribute, a spoils award. And then tier three, suddenly increased stats and a forward changes contribute to spoilers go away. So I think the big thing before even going to the stats is, well, now they get to invest in other things, which I think is nice, just because again the support budget's tight, and I I think it gets rid of a lot of it makes you because the thing with certain support items is that like Targans, for instance, it was always just like, oh, here's a burst of sustain, and it was just like shitty. Like if you harass someone and all of a sudden they got all their HP back, or the AP item, like you get Morgana W'd and then like, oh, I just took all three stacks of damage and there goes all my HP. Like you just took a bunch of damage, and I think this changes more so to make less damage, less poke, like it lowers damage early game essentially. It makes you have to decide of what items to buy in what order, and it this is my train of thought, guys. And it makes you have to like sort of like actually fight and usually like go in for more extended trades if you want to do actual damage. Of just like, oh, I'm Brand, I just E'd you or W'd you, and I just did all that damage, and I just have to wait for my next three charges. Like I just feel like they didn't like that type of pokey play style with like that and the sustain, like the flash sustain and anti poaching, yada yada. So yeah, it's just it keeps the bonus gold on hit essentially. Yep, just instead of having damage to gold and ability power damage less gives 10 HP now instead of the 2 damage. That's nice. And less mana regen, so less spam in lane. Gold per 10 to change. Same thing. Tier 2, it's a bit less damage, 5 AP less, more HP, which is nice. They got rid of the management, just less spam in the lane. Got rid of the CR, which is good because it makes the again decisions a bit harder, and also, I mean, you have to invest in the CR if you want the CR. Same thing there, and then I like that they give the power out towards the end because it goes from 35. They nerfed it. Well, no, they buffed it from 35 to 60 ability power because they got rid of the active the not the active effect, but the damage effect. And I think that's fine because but some people weren't even like actually finishing the support item sometimes, and it was just like proving to be a very problematic item in all honesty, and I like that now it's like instead of having so much power early mid game, it's all on towards like the midish late game state. They nerfed the HP a tiny bit on it, and doesn't give mana regain in cooldown. More money though, and that's pretty much it, guys. And it's sort of the same thing with these, and this is just like add-ons for like Senna and Pike, and who knows, guys? Maybe Zed's support might be a thing for once, you know? Because since they're doing with the whole AD thing, Riven support and stuff, right? I'm. It's actually thinking about it now. It's actually quite interesting because it could happen, but I mean, Riven could support, not really. As you know, guys, it's natural. It's pretty much just an AD version of the support item. Relic Shield doesn't heal you anymore; just gives gold when you kill a minion. There's an AP and an AD version of it now. It's pretty much the same thing, guys. Where it's just they don't do as much damage until the last tier, and they just got resist the sustain and the damage from all these new items. Ancient Coin has honestly been broken and just really like I don't know, like not really interactive. So I like that they got rid of that. Shredder's Reverie, instead of being a more damage, it's literally just strictly utility, which is nice. So it's a big enchanter buff overall, honestly. It's also cheaper by 200 gold. Um, less movement speed. Active range is 1,000. That's actually quite good. Oh, energized items is also really big. If I was 80 carry, I'd actually probably be really excited to play. I mean, I do play 80 carry, but you know, don't mean it, guys. So the energized effects now stack. Energized charges from moving increased by 20%. Charges from attacking reduced by 50%. I think that's very good because it meant that champions like Jin and if you want an 80 carry center or something, uh, they have slow attack speed, so they wouldn't benefit as much from it. So now I think it's more of an even ground, and it actually rewards you actually kiting and like moving around, being an active player to actually gain the most from it. And now all energized effects now work on turrets, so not just rapid fire cannon. You can buy a static shiv and it'll work on a tower. I also wonder if you use it on a tower if it'll actually shock onto other things, probably. And if the shock effect does work on turrets, that means you have to be careful to not draw aggro with a static shiv because of that. So yeah, because it goes down the line of minions, and if the enemy champion's there, like you don't even see him, you could actually draw aggro, which would be pretty funny. So probably something you have to be careful about. Storm Razor, this item's honestly broken. Like, I mean, maybe not even unhealthy broken, but it's just like this item just to me just seems like such a strong first item. Like, I don't think with this item there's really any reason to rush an IE at all because I believe it costs the same as an IE right now. It gives 20. I believe it's 25 AD. I think it's 25 less AD. And so first off, they lowered the AD on this from 60 to 55, so 5 AD less. Gave it 25% crit, minus 15% attack speed to 15% attack speed, and they increased the energized damage from 50 to 120. But the reason for that was because it no longer amplifies other energized effects by 35%. That's why they did that. And energized slow 40% decaying over 1.5 seconds, and now 75% over 0.5 seconds non-decaying. So it has more of an immediate impact. Like if you catch someone out, honestly, that's a big buff to it. The damage is also nice. This is a damage buff as well. I believe it's like a 40 damage buff about. And essentially, if you bought an IE, you're trading 25% AD. No, yeah, 25 AD and the 20% crit for 50% attack speed, 25 crit, and a energize on hit that does damage and a slow. And that's pretty bonkers. And if you look at this item in general, it's 100 gold more, minus 580, minus 50% attack speed. In exchange, it got 25% crit and Pretty much 40 more damage on Energized compared to its previous iteration, and a better slow. So I just like like when I saw this change, I think I like this item a lot because it reminds me of Trinity Force, like the old Trinity Force. I really liked it when they changed Trinity Force from 10% crit to 20% crit. I really like that. I think Hecarim was at his peak during that time, despite people thinking he was at his peak when he it went from to 20% Seer. I think he just became more of an early game champion because of that, because he got nerfed right after. I like the crit because it made him more of a late game. So I just think this item if you ever build IE, like, you want to get this item. This item is insane, especially on someone like Jin even. Uh, well, maybe not Jin. Maybe Jin was help build IE, honestly. Rapid fire cannon. Pretty much it does. Yeah, so it doesn't increase the charge rate anymore, and make it not mandatory to get. And it does pretty much overall more damage. I mean, it's less late game, but I mean, barely you get that late game. I've itchy nose, guys. Please, I don't know why. I haven't itched my nose all day. Static Shiv got a huge buff though. Chain Lightning bounces from 5 to 7. That's actually pretty huge, especially in a team fight setting, because if there's minions and monsters and stuff, it actually will hit them all. And an overall a huge damage buff because uh it wouldn't really deal that much until you were level, like, you know 14, 13. But now it pretty much does as much damage as that level, so even if you got that at like level 8 or 9, it's pretty good. It's interesting because it might even be a good item to rush in some cases, and champions, like even maybe even in Vayne, might like this item a lot simply because uh yeah, the big thing to take from this is that it does more bounces, and the damage is way more consistent. But in exchange, it can no longer critically strike, but that's fine. Because I think the consistency early, because it's an early game item in all honesty, is more important. And it's a sort of a nerf also, and but sort of not. I think it's a shift of power and usability. So we might see this item more on champion, like pushing champions, and even champions that can't really do well without pushing, such as Vayne, who sucks at clearing. This is whatever, just more energized damage and 100 more gold. People rarely even have this item when they buy it. Like, they rarely keep it. Removing brawler comes. We're streamlining crit items down to one component. This is a slight nerf to build flexibility, particularly early game, since cloak requires more time spent for an can pick up. Yep. Yeah, except cloak has 5% more crit now, and I think that's nice. Makes it less of a trollish item to buy. Zeal, uh, it's a lot stronger of a single item. It's 200 gold more, 1400. From 15% crit to 25% crit, and a bit lower attack speed. That doesn't matter. That's really whatever. So, bit of a stronger pickup if you were to go, it's just have a Zeal instead of like buying a BF sword or something if you already have an IE. Move Spirit Sergeant, Zero Portal got nerfed because no one uses it anymore. I like Dome Wrecker. I just never really got to really test out that much. Because it had quite a bit of uses with, like, if you tank two turret shots and then used it, it would reset the damage. It was just like no one was really playing tanks. I think that's a big reason why these items were never being used, really. Aftercloak got removed. I think that's good because I think this item was being built on even unintended champions and screwed areas, honestly. Everything klepto, it's fine. Omni Stone, it's like the RNG keystone. Essentially, all it does is it's really a weird. It's not so really confusing. I don't think. I'm not really worried too much about this one. It's very experimental. It's one of those things where, like, I'd probably worry about it if you ever want to test it. Um, Infect stars. Like, this is a very interesting one. It depends. Like, this one might be good. It might be good. It depends. So, and this is just this is like this is a very experimental one. Okay, so let me try to read this again. It's very interesting. I don't know. It's very weird. It's a very weird one. Let's have to see how it pans out, really. Conqueror. I like this change because I don't think the true damage should have even been on that. I also didn't. I also didn't even know you. Conqueror was actually healing for damage. It was sort of like the Aatroxy where you were healing for damage, like as if it was true damage. So if say I would have dealt 500 damage, you were healing based on that 500 damage instead of like the 200 hit you did, which is pretty insane. I didn't even know. So instead of giving the 8% uh pre-mitigation damage and true damage, it's now 50% of post-mitigation damage against champions. So it means that if you build tanks against conquer users can actually like withstand it now, and they don't just get shredded and just like they don't just get drain tanked in general. So that's nice. Maximum stacks are now 10, and the big thing is that we're just gonna read down the line. So before it was one per ability hit or base attack, two per ability hit or base attack, one per ranged attack. Stack duration, 8 seconds for melee, 3 for range. Now it's just 8 seconds on everything, so that's really good for range in a lot of ways. I just and adaptive force per stack is guys, 2 to 6. Now it's 2 to 5, but it gives you more stacks. Map it and also you can get more because of if you're melee. Max adaptive force 10 to 30. Now it's 20 to 50. That's insane. 20 AD. Like the one thing is like a champion that instantly gets this is actually like the reason why I always like Shyvana. Shyvana can instantly get this. She can E W, which is 2 stacks. So before they even auto, that's 6 stacks. Q, and those two autos alone are 4 stacks. And I'm not sure if it would count the Q. I think that it's one ability, so maybe it would be 12 stacks at that point. But it doesn't matter. That's 10 stacks. Literally, EW auto Q gives Shyvana an instant 20 AD at level 1. Well, I mean, well, you wouldn't have level 1. But, let's say, like, 20, 21, 22, because she would be, like, level 3 to level 4. And I think that's insane, because then she would just start healing. So, the one thing to think about with Conqueror right now is, like, because it gives you a lot more AD now. That's a lot of AD. But you have to realize that, like, oh, what champions have a lot of abilities that can be used. And I think that champion like Vi, I don't think Vi's W counts as a proc. I think it's just an on-hit effect, which is a shame. But Vi is still good with it regardless because I like that they got rid of the true damage because a champion like Vi, because of the low armor in the game, you weren't really benefiting from the true damage that much. It was literally making people not play tanks because of that rune. But now it gives you AD, but it makes it so that building armor is the answer to conquer users to counter their HP regen and everything. So I just wondered if Conquer might enter the state because it is a lot like Old Fervor, except with a bit more or less AD and a lot more healing. It's just interesting if I wonder if we'll enter a meta where people are just gonna play champions that can stack it like instantly. Like Shauna, no one plays her though, so no one's gonna think about her. But she might be absolutely busted in all honesty because 20 AD, that's insane. Oh, sorry. So guess yeah, if it pans out. Like I also like this because this rune was like 50-50 in Vi. She likes AD, but like it wasn't giving her a lot, and she didn't really benefit from the true damage because of her W shred. But now it will actually like benefit her a lot because she already has armor shred, which makes her heal more. So I like what they did with this more. I just felt like this the whole Conquer before was just like screw you tanks and drain tank, and I just like that there's a counter to it, which is nice. And Aftershock, really good change, honestly. So resistance, and people were afraid of this. Is it went from 70 flat to 50% bonus resist on proc to 35 to 8% bonus resist, and that's fair. Uh, 10 and the damage honestly guys, the damage is pretty much the same. Like the damage really doesn't matter. Like attract is not for the damage. It is not for the damage. It barely does damage. Okay, I really itchy nose, guys. Like guys, I'm so sorry. I have a really itchy nose. I don't know what's up with me. Okay, I'm just itchy. I don't know. But yeah, cool down. Went from 35 seconds to 20. That is, I like that a lot because I liked Aftershock, but I didn't like it at the same time. And I like this because it means that, like, say you fought someone. Guys, I'm so sorry. I have affiliations, but it pretty much meant that if you like fought someone and they just ran away after, like, which a lot of champions can do easily, it meant that you were so vulnerable for such a long time you couldn't do anything. But now, after that exchange happens, it means that you can actually have that power to fight them back and defend yourself more reliably. I like reliable runes. I like runes that you can actually reliably use. That's the one thing I didn't like about Ultra. I just thought there was too much downtime, too much waiting, and I like that they did like that was a icing on the cake. Like the biggest thing I didn't like about it was how many supports and stuff were taking like Pike and Lissandra taking it, and just becoming tanks. And, I mean, they may still take it, but I mean, it's not gonna be as oppressive, which is nice. Apparently the aftershocks resistances were lasting longer than intended, so that's pretty funny. I wonder how long that's been a thing. So I'm a big fan of the aftershock. I'm really that's a big buff to tanks, like we call it, like Sejuani and maybe Tom Kench guys and Zach and stuff. Really, hey guys, like I don't know. Yeah, this is the watch me it's my nose stream, guys. Wait, give me a second. Okay. So uh, I'm very happy about the aftershock sheet. Because people think tanks are boring. I love playing tanks. Tanks are fun because I feel like you can do way more riskier plays with them, and that's why I sort of got sad last season because I just felt like the meta was just like so it was just really stale and like it's like I just wish people didn't look at down on tanks like, oh, tank meta. Tank meta is probably one of the best metas. I was like, I don't think there's ever been a tank meta. It's just more like, oh, tanks are being played, and it's not necessarily a tank meta. So I'm just happy about that. I don't know, hit you up, guys. I don't know. The presence of mind, guys. I really like what they did with this rune because this rune isn't a problem on its own, but the fact that you could stack it with Ultimate Hunter was insane. This is gonna hurt Karthus a lot. And that's good because Karthus jungle shouldn't be a thing. I don't know why Karthus jungle is a thing. I don't know why Riot is so. Karthus jungle, well, maybe it won't be effective because you can farm more in the jungle now. But I hate Karthus jungle because it goes against what Riot's been trying to prevent, which is AFK farming. Because Karthus jungle is not meant to fight. Like if you ever watch a pro game, they're always talking about the Karthus jungle. Why is he ganking? He needs those farm. Yep, this Karthus jungle is just farming. That's what you're supposed to. I don't know why it exists. It really shouldn't exist. But yeah, pretty much Spurs and Minds instead of giving it still gives 20% of your maximum mana on kill, and it does not give 10% of your ultimate kill anymore. Instead, it increases your maximum mana by 100 up to 500, and your maximum energy by 10 up to 50. So after 5 kills, so it pretty much means that is this unique takedown? No, I don't think this is unique takedown anymore. Yeah, so it's any takedown. So that's the big thing about it too is that it's not a unique takedown, so you actually can't hold any if you want. The maximum eight mana is very nice. I love things that give permanent bonuses. So champions that this would be good on is I I wouldn't say Vi. I don't think Vi has mana issues. I think it's more of like maybe even Nico if she goes into that tree. It depends. I need to experiment more with Nico. Um, who's a champion who's like big? It's a good rune on Hecarim. Well, who else is it good on? So we're gonna Hecarim because I think it scales well with Blue Buck. I think Blue Buck's based off percentage mana. Hecarim, Kane. It's also good for. Yeah, and the big thing about it is that it gives you maximum energy as well. So you might actually see a lot more even Riven players and Zed players because that would probably make it a lot easier to do things and just like spam a build. Well, no, Riven doesn't have. Isn't that funny? Riven doesn't have an energy bar. Oops. Oh, that's funny. Because that's how you know Riven's broken. I thought she had. I don't know why I was thinking she had an energy bar. I was talking to Alan like, yeah, Riven has an energy bar. She doesn't. Why does she? That's her. But yeah, I guess maybe like Zed and Lee have a hi, have a. It pretty much changes the game quite a bit with them. I'm trying to think who else has an energy bar that I mean I can know I don't think it really matters. Hmm. But yeah, those two are interesting. I was gonna say something about this room. I just think it's for mana, like certain combo champions, and maybe people will start taking because of the. This is a less. It's sort of a snowball room, but it's less directly a snowball. Cause I'm not a big fan of the whole triumph thing, giving you missing HP and gold. The gold thing was also extra, so hopefully maybe people take this instead of triumph. Nimbus cloaks and procs off summer spells and stuff. Well, this is very strong in Hecarim, so if you like Flash, no Flash, I mean Ghost. 25% movement speed, which makes him hit like a truck, and you would have it for 2.5 seconds, which is quite strong. And I mean, it also works on Smite, but if you were ghosting with Hecarim, it wouldn't work. But even if you use chilling Smite only, that's very powerful because you're just really fast. This is a very strong rune in general because it would really do anything for when you ulted as Hecarim, so it was not really like good on Hecarim, honestly. So trying to think what else is good on. I mean, it's good on playmakers, I guess, like Ken and stuff. Senator from Aram. Okay, yeah. Twisted Tree Line. That's not supporting. I want to get the Nico icons. Cute. And probably against multiple stacks of Conqueror. I think I remember testing that, not working. Uh, I think that's it. Yeah, I thought there was a bit more, but I don't know. Maybe I was just thinking wrong. So yeah, I mean, I like a lot of these changes. I think that overall the damage actually got lowered a bit and more like less snowball even, and I like that there's might be a lot more decision making with assassins in general, and like maybe in general, and especially with jungle. I just hope everything plays out well because reading things is different from it actually like doing like how it plays. So I just hope things go well. Honestly, it seems to me that they have more of a plan than just like random changes. Because usually preseason is wild, but it seems like it's more of a calm preseason and more of a addressing issues that people have been complaining about forever with like jungle and stuff and the whole jungle XP. So that's really it, guys. I'm just gonna cut it now. Okay. Bye. Thanks for watching, and yeah, maybe leave some comments or something. Yeah. Bye.